I think one of the most misunderstood things about being strong is the idea that strength means suppressing your emotions. That somehow, in order to be powerful or successful, you have to bottle everything up. That showing emotion makes you weak, unstable, unreliable. But I've found through my own journey, personally and professionally, that controlling your emotions doesn't mean denying them. It means understanding them, facing them, and learning to guide them rather than letting them guide you. I've experienced both ends of the spectrum. There was a time in my life when my emotions controlled me. They dictated my mood, my choices, my self-worth. And then there was a time I went completely numb because that felt safer. But I realized that neither extreme is healthy. The balance lies in something far more nuanced. Awareness. I want to say this to anyone listening who feels like they're constantly battling with themselves. You're not alone. I know what it feels like to smile on the outside while your inner world is quietly unraveling. I know what it's like to put on a brave face in public and then break down in private. It's exhausting. And the more we pretend everything is okay, the harder it becomes to actually make it okay. There was a time when I didn't want to get out of bed, when the world felt grey even on the sunniest days, when I felt like I was just floating through time with no anchor, and I didn't know how to explain it to anyone. I was angry, I was confused, I was sad, and all of that emotion had nowhere to go. But one day I made a decision. Not a dramatic movie-like moment, it was subtle, quiet. I just whispered to myself, I don't want to feel like this anymore. And that moment changed, and that was the beginning, not the end, not a cure, just the start of choosing to understand what I was feeling instead of running from it. I started asking myself questions. Why am I feeling this? Where is it coming from? What can I do with it? See, emotions aren't our enemies. They're messengers. They're telling us something we need to hear. Anger, for example, often masks pain. Fear can point to what matters to us. Sadness reveals what we care about. When we learn to pause, not suppress, not explode, just pause, we create space between the feeling and the reaction. And that space is where our power lives. I'm not saying it's easy, but what I am saying is that it's worth it. In this industry, especially, there's so much pressure to look perfect, act perfect, be perfect. You're constantly in the spotlight. And when you're feeling something deeply, whether it's anxiety, sadness, overwhelm, you often feel like you have to hide it because the world doesn't want to see too much feeling. But the truth is, emotions are a part of being human. They don't make us unprofessional. They make us real. I've learned to sit with my emotions without judgment. That took time, a lot of time. And help. There's no shame in asking for help. Whether it's talking to a friend, a therapist, or just writing it out in a journal. The goal is not to pretend you're okay when you're not. The goal is to get to a place where you're strong enough to say, I'm not okay, but I'm working on it. The strongest people I know are not the ones who never feel pain. They're the ones who feel it, understand it, and still move forward with grace. They don't let their emotions control their choices, but they don't ignore them either. They know how to listen. And listening is an underrated skill, especially when it comes to yourself. I remember before a very important shoot, I was feeling extremely anxious. It wasn't visible to others, but inside, I was overwhelmed. I didn't try to fight the anxiety, I acknowledged it. I said to myself, okay, you're feeling this way, that's valid, but let's breathe. Let's focus on one moment at a time. And I did. And slowly the fog lifted. The strength didn't come from being emotionless. It came from learning how to stay grounded despite the emotion. We often treat emotions like obstacles to success. But if we actually learn how to understand and channel them, they become our strength. They teach us empathy. They teach us patience. They make us better leaders, better creators, better people. Controlling your emotions doesn't mean being robotic. It means becoming so aware of your inner world that nothing can shake your outer presence. That's real control. Not the kind that comes from force, but the kind that comes from clarity. If you're someone who feels deeply, I want to tell you, don't be ashamed of it. Your depth is a gift. You just have to learn how to manage it. Emotional intelligence is not just about understanding others. It starts with understanding yourself. Start small. The next time you feel triggered or overwhelmed, take a moment. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself, what am I really feeling? Where is this coming from? What do I need right now? You'll be surprised how much clarity that pause can bring. And remember, you're allowed to take time for yourself. You're allowed to say no. You're allowed to set boundaries. You're allowed to feel what you feel, but also you're capable of choosing what you do with those feelings. That's where your power lies. There is so much noise in the world, so many opinions, expectations, judgments. If you're not grounded in your own emotional world, it's very easy to get lost in someone else's version of who you should be. Don't hand over that power. Your emotions are yours. Your journey is yours. Learn to trust yourself. Learn to be gentle with yourself. Controlling your emotions is not about dominating them. It's about dancing with them. Knowing when to step forward, when to hold back, and when to simply breathe. I've cried in silence. I've laughed in rooms full of people while feeling completely alone. I've learned that the way out is through the emotion, through the discomfort, through the fear. And once you go through it, you realize you're stronger than you thought. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be real. That's enough. That's always been enough. So today, if you're feeling overwhelmed by your emotions, I want you to know you're not weak. You're human. And that's the most powerful thing you can be. Stay with your feelings, but don't get stuck in them. Let them move. Let them teach you, and then let them go. There's a stillness that comes when you learn to feel without reacting. A quiet confidence. A strength that doesn't need to shout. That's the kind of power I've come to value. The kind that grows from within. And you, yes, you are more than capable of finding that stillness within yourself. Keep going. You're doing better than you think.